Hi guys, thank you everybody so much for coming. We have two really exciting guests with us today, and I think some of their stories are really going to give all of us a little extra something to think about today. So I have Coss Marte and Shane Ennover. So before we really get into everything we're going to discuss today, I want to actually play a little clip for everybody. So Coss actually had an experience with BuzzFeed where they took a couple guys that were not inmates to a prison and actually had them work out there for a week. And I think that'll really frame up the conversation and give everyone a sense of what Conbody really is. Can you guys cue the tape?
Start off with a regular jumping jack. Don't pass out yet. Sideways, Rocco. Let's go.
So the guy who's training us this week is Coss. Coss is relentless.
You know how to count to 10? You're gonna fuck up today.
He's so understated when he's talking to you, and as soon as class gets started, like, he's a psycho.
That's 5 laps, Rocco? No, it ain't. Don't cheat me. You ain't do 5 laps.
I seen him in the men's fitness, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start doing this stuff, and I've been doing it before, but it really encouraged me when I seen it. I was like, oh, he did it. I can do it too, all that.
The Conbody workout is insanity times 10 with a prison kick into it. Within 5 days of this workout, they'll probably lose like 5 to 10 pounds. It's all body weight. I actually developed this whole routine in my prison cell. I started selling drugs on a milk crate, and I grew it out to a multi-million-dollar drug business, and I was sentenced to 7 years in prison. I came up with the idea of Conbody while I was in solitary confinement, and now I have over 7,000 clients.
1, 2, 3.
God, anything bad I ever ate, I regret it right now.
You ain't even getting low. You ain't even getting low.
Just trying to survive with my breathing.
Let's go all the way back. All the way back. They waiting for you.
My arms just couldn't do it. Like, this is non-stop.
Bring it back. Come on. Come on. Let's go. All the way back. All the way back. Let's go. Push it. Push it. It's almost over. It's almost over. 1 lap. Give me a hand. Give me a hand. Let's go. Last one. Happened. Buddy. Let's go.
So that's just a little something of, I think, what people can expect when they go into the Conbody studio.
Yeah.
But Coss, let's talk a little bit more about how this all started and what actually landed you in prison.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna ask a quick question to everybody here in the audience. Who's here been so excited to go on a job interview before? Nobody? You hate Google? Yeah, fuck this shit. So now imagine yourself going through a job interview and now having that door slammed in your face when you came to Google. This happened to me over 100 times when I was released in 2013, when I was released from prison. And every time I went to apply for a job, I had to check off the check mark and say I had a felony. And every time I went to any convenience store, any clothing store in Midtown, they said, you have a felony, and I'll see the reaction in their face, so they'll look at the application and they'll just put it to the side. And it was just discouraging and frustrating for the most part. And this is where I came up with Conbody out of desperation. I had the idea when I came out of prison, when I was in prison, to start Conbody. But this was all derived from my whole experience growing up. I was born and raised in the Lower East Side of New York City. On Broome and Eldridge is where I started selling drugs at, where Conbody is today. My mom immigrated from the Dominican Republic when she was 6 months pregnant with me. And when she came, we had very little. We lived in my aunt's couch. We didn't, every time I would go to work with her, because she would sneak me under her sewing machine and just babysit me there. It was sad because I wanted more, and I seen the other kids in school with other things, and when the teacher asked us, like, what do you want to be when you grow up, I always said I wanted to be rich, because I felt like that was the way I can escape poverty. And the first opportunity that I became rich was from the world of drugs. I seen all the guys in the corner who were selling drugs on my block, and they had cars and money and everything I really wanted. And you know, at 11, I started smoking weed and started following in their footsteps, became somebody that was looking out for them, and then I began selling for them at 13, and from there it quickly escalated. And my good friend and I, Joey LaJave, we changed the way we sold drugs. I'm gonna teach you how to sell drugs right now, so take notes if you want to quick Google and hit the streets. But no, what we did was, you know, we stopped hanging around in the corner. We used to wear, you know, big jeans and very stereotypical, you know, Jordans and a typical drug dealer that was standing on the corner. And we would get stopped every single day by cops, and they would harass us and lock us up. And I've been in and out about 10 times for BS charges. And so we came up with an idea of, you know, wearing suits, you know, going up to people that started, you know, changing the neighborhood, because it was like really getting gentrified at the time. And this was the early 2000s, and we made 10,000 business cards, and we went up to everybody who looked like they used drugs. And our pitch line was like, "Do you want blow?" And they were like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But it was pretty crazy. From there, it started escalating, and by the age of 19, I was making over $2 million a year. I had over 20 people working for me. I had this whole operation, delivery service. It went down at 23 when federal agents came knocking on my door, and they found everything, and they took everything away from me. And that's when I was faced with 7 years in prison. At this point, I went into prison, and doctors told me that I could die because of my health issues. And this was the first time I really, you know, found out that I had any health issues. The doctors said that my cholesterol levels were so high that I probably could die from a heart attack within 5 years. And this saying, you know, being sentenced to 7 years and having 5 years to live in prison, I told myself I was not going to die in this situation, especially because I had a 2-year-old son when I went in. Now he's 9 years old. And yeah, I went in there, and I basically started moving as soon as they told me that, you know, I had all these health issues. So I went back to my cell and started doing dips and push-ups, and you know, it quickly, you know, it happened. It was crazy. I worked out for about 5 minutes, and then passed out, and then I just sat there on my bed, and I was like, I need to start doing something with my life, so start, you know, really taking advantage of this time. So I went out to the yard, and I started running the yard, and I was the only person running the yard, and then going back to my unit and working out, and I started working out like 2-3 hours a day, and from there I you know, helped over 20 inmates who was over 1,000 pounds combined. So I took that same program that I started in the prison yard, and I said, this is what I really wanted to duplicate. But I didn't think about that while I was doing it in the yard. It was towards the end of my prison experience where I had a spiritual awakening. I was walking towards the medical unit. I was in another facility, and this officer placed me on a wall, and they do random searches, and Shane knows, like, they just really abuse the way they search you, and they put you on a wall leaning down, and this guy started touching me in uncomfortable places, and I you know, I moved a little bit, and this officer smacked me in the back of my head really, really hard, and I dropped down to the ground. And at the time I was wearing glasses, and it fell. And I went to pick him up, and as soon as I got up, I turned around on him, and he thought I was gonna charge him. So he quickly pressed this button in his walkie-talkie. As soon as they press that button, it's called the pin. Just need to embrace for impact, because dozens of officers come to the scene, and they just beat the crap out of you, and that's exactly what they did. They just stomped on me, and they cuffed me and threw me in this cell. And at this time, I was devastated because I have told my son that I was coming home in 2 months. I told my son that I was coming home in 2 months, and I lied to him. I saw him in the visiting room, and I only had a couple months left, and it was about that weekend where I saw him. He was excited, and and that situation happened, and now I'm sitting in this prison cell thinking, like, how am I going to get out of this situation? This guy said I charged him and I was going to attempt to assault, and was pressing all these crazy charges that were untruthful, and I broke down, and I had nothing in that prison cell except for, you know, the tools that they gave me was a letter, paper, pen, and an envelope, and I wrote out a letter. I sat down on the little table there, and I wrote out a letter, and I was basically explaining to my family that I'm not coming home. I fucked up again. You know, forget about me. I'm probably going to do about 3 more years behind the situation. And then I enclosed the letter, and then I realized I didn't have a stamp to send out this letter with. So at this moment, I'm like, I get even more frustrated, and I want to just bang my head in a cell, and I don't know what to do. The cell is about 105 degrees. There's no AC, no fan. And it was just a crazy moment in my life. And then about a week later, my sister writes me a letter, and she tells me to read Psalm 91 from the Bible. My sister's like Mother Teresa's child. She's like, hallelujah, amen, you know, one of those people. But nothing against her, but she told me to read Psalm 91, and I was like, hell no, I'm not reading this shit. Like, I don't believe in God. It's all a hoax. And all I had was this Bible that she gave me in the beginning of my prison sentence in my cell. And I'm there, and I took that letter that she wrote me, and I threw it in the corner of my cell, and I just laid back in my cell. But after a couple days, probably about 2-3 days, I decided to open up the Bible because there was nothing else to do. I was in 24-hour lockdown. And I opened up the Bible, and I turned to the pages that she told me to read, Psalm 91. And as soon as I started reading it, a stamp fell out of my Bible. And it was the stamp that I needed to send out this 10-page letter to my family that I've written to tell them that I'm in trouble and explain to them the whole situation. And as soon as that stamp fell out, it was something came to my body. Chills ran down my spine, and I felt like there was something bigger than myself. It really humbled me, and I began praying for the first time. And I started feeling a lot of regret for what I was doing. And I began reading the Bible from front to back. And for the first time, I started believing that what I was doing was wrong, selling drugs in prison, selling drugs in the streets, and affecting so many people. And then I started realizing that these people had families just like my family was affected by the drug, you know, industry. And I began praying, and I started asking God, like, how can I give back to society? And how can I, you know, repay for all the wrongs that I've done? And I just put two and two together, and I came up with the idea of Conbody there. I figured that the guys that I was already helping in the prison yard, I was actually doing something right, and I was giving back. And I said, this is what I wanted to do. So I wrote out, using a long sheet of paper that they give you and the side of the Bible as my ruler, I started making a spreadsheet of like every workout, my whole calendar when I came home. Like, I was just like, I had the time to do it. So I put all that together, and when I came out of that cell, and I was partnered up with this guy. I had a bunkie, and as soon as I stepped to my bunkie's unit, I see him reading the Bible, and I was like, oh shit, I want to tell this guy my story, and I tell him my story, and he's like, how much time you did in the box? He just looked at me like I was crazy. So I was like, I'm not telling anyone this story ever again. But I'm here today. I'm in Google telling you my story. And I've been fortunate enough to travel the world now and just like share my testimonial, share my story. And when I came home, I finally served an extra year behind the situation. So I was released 1 year after that. And I came home, and I started doing it in the local park. I was back in the same neighborhood. My mom still lives in a tenement apartment on Rivington Street, rent control. You must be jealous, because you can't afford it. But yeah, I get back to that. I'm living on her couch, and And every day I would wake up and just go out to the park and start working out. And I take out this like piece of pipe and stuck it between the gates and start doing pull-up bar training there. And from there, it just started escalating. And from there, I started renting out ballet studios. The ballet studios started getting really, really packed. And then we went to, we started working out of a preschool, a prison behind a preschool. And the whole idea was I really wanted to build a gym that looked like a prison. And people ask me, like, why did you want to do that? First of all, it was a great branding and marketing opportunity. No, but seriously, the reason why I did that was because I came home and I was looking for jobs, and I finally found an internship that I was getting minimum wage for. And at this internship, we was helping people that were on public assistance find employment, and I was a resume writer. I didn't know how to type for shit, but I told them I know how to type 40, 50 words per minute on my resume, and eventually I was like, so then I got there. I'm better now, but so I started working there, and we were working with people that were formerly released, and my employees were now former convicts or ex-cons or whatever. So they, behind the scene, they was discriminating against the people that were coming in. They was always saying like, oh, this person's always gonna come back. We're tired of seeing this person, blah, blah, blah. And behind my head, I'm like getting so frustrated because they don't know my background story. And I'm like, you don't even know like what we went through. Like, this is, I feel like I'm a real product of the school to prison pipeline. And then one day I really got frustrated, and finally when I had Conbody like fully up and running, I told them my story, and they were like, "What? You were in prison?" And it really changed their whole views. And I told them what I was doing, and now they're like extremely, receptive of the fact of that formerly incarcerated people can change their lives if we're given the right tools and the right opportunities. So I came home and left, I left that job, and I started doing Conbody, and I was doing it by myself for a while, and then I met another trainer, and then I bumped into this guy who we were both locked up in the same unit. We were in Green Correctional Facility. What brought us together was a phenomenon that God made. We call it Baba Shwugel. It was our code word for marijuana. So we were actually smoking weed.
Where most love stories begin.
Yeah. We were smoking weed in prison yard and showers in there. But it was a crazy connection. And when he came home, we connected through Facebook. Yeah. And we connected, and I told him, you have to come out and check out what I'm doing. And I think you already knew what we were doing before. You just seen like the Facebook posts and stuff. And he came out and he was like, I want to be a part of this. So it just like became an amazing opportunity to reconnect people that I've been incarcerated with, and people that have been, trying to readapt back to society. And now today, what our whole mission is to hire as many formerly incarcerated individuals as possible to teach our fitness classes. We're based in the Lower East Side, like I said before, in the same corner where I was selling drugs at, Broome and Eldridge. And it's just been an amazing experience. Like where BuzzFeed, we went to California City State Prison, and I trained 60 inmates in there. And these inmates, were, they were tatted up and they look scary and this and that. And when I walk in there with the BuzzFeed employees, they like quickly hid in the closet, and they were like, oh, we need to store stuff. I'm like, get the fuck out of the closet. These people want to see you. And they like shook their hand, and it was just so intimidated. And I'm like, these people, and I had to step to the side, and I was like, these people are actually humans. Like, they made a mistake, and you need to respect the fact that there's still people. And that's what I'm really trying to do, is break down the stereotypes between formerly incarcerated individuals and young professionals. And
I actually think Conbody, that's one of the reasons that I got so excited about the studio. And something we were talking about is there's a lot of boutique fitness studios in New York City. Yeah. And when you walk in, they're all really expensive and they're all very exclusive, but you don't really feel like you're part of it.
Yeah.
And I do think walking into Conbody, you guys make everybody feel like they're a part of the crew, like we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And it just makes it a family, and it makes it a really good workout experience. And I mean, apart from the fact that you guys kick everyone's asses who walk in there.
Well, when you, just in general, when you're like locked up with someone, like Coss and I were, like you just get this, you become very close to them, because you and the person was like, you are all you guys got, that's it. So you become very close to people, and you form these good relationships. And you're not actually locked up, but you come to combat, you're not actually locked up, but we kind of give off that persona, so you actually still get that like intimacy, I guess you would say, whereas you wouldn't get it in some like big name gym or a big name studio.
Right.
And we always say hi when people walk in. We try to start a conversation. How was your day? How did you get here? And you feel at home. Like I feel at home when I'm there.
And that's really how you and I got to talking, because you walk up to every single person after class and you ask them how they're doing, and you're very open with your story. And I think your story is interesting because when you first told me, I thought it was like something out of a movie. So let's tell everybody kind of what your background is and kind of what got you to where you are.
My story is a little different. It's actually kind of like the complete opposite end of the spectrum as far as Coss is, because I'm not from the city. I'm from Long Island. And I didn't sell drugs, I did drugs. And it pretty much started like when I was like 13 years old. My sister's ex-boyfriend moved in with us at the time. He smoked weed. So of course, like I thought he was like the coolest thing ever. So we started smoking weed together. And that was like the first time I ever like really got introduced to drugs. Never really had like a weed problem, but eventually I had broken my leg and they gave me some Vicodin. And I liked the Vicodin. Who doesn't like Vicodin? Sorry. But I was very young at the time. I was like 15, 16 years old, and very impressionable. And then I found out that all my friends were doing Vicodin. They were all doing like really heavy painkillers like Oxycontins, things like that. And eventually I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's just do it. Like why not do it? It came to the point where like there was nothing available. And we all got very sick, and we didn't understand why we were sick, but we were withdrawing. And we didn't actually like understand what withdrawing meant until we actually looked it up and were like, oh shit, this is what this is? How long is this gonna last? Like we couldn't just like Google something back then. Like we didn't know what was going on. Like, so eventually we found out, we did our research, but we didn't really even know how long it was going. All we cared about was getting better. And that's all you care about when you're doing drugs. So this one I'm doing Oxycontin and heroin. And eventually also, probably like a year after that, I started doing cocaine. And I was doing like a bunch of like other like party drugs, like ecstasy. I did acid a whole bunch of times. But it was just drugs. That was what I did. It was a full-time job. I woke up. If I didn't have money, I had to get money. If I had the money, I was getting the drugs. If I had the drugs and the money, I was good. I could live a normal life. But first things first, I got to get high.
So let's talk about how you had to get the money.
So, all right. So the first big thing I used to do, I was working at a bagel place, and I was actually stealing like $200-300 a day from them. If I can get more, I can get more. But that alone right there, plus my paycheck, would be enough to support a good habit. But I quit that job to get another job at another deli, and I got fired at that job. So now I have no money. I owe my drug dealer money, and I am like about to I'm about to go through withdrawals. I barely have any drugs left, and he actually used to give me like little like jobs. And what I mean by jobs is like certain like houses to rob, like people he knew. And he'd say, all right, listen, I want you to go in there. All I want are the guns and the jewelry. Anything else in there you can have. If you find money, if you find like a TV, appliances, anything like that, you can have all that. All I want are the guns and the jewelry. And I'd come out of houses like I swear, like these gigantic like AK-47s and shotguns and like most like fabulous looking jewelry you'll find. That's all he wanted. Okay. So I had owed him some money at the time, and I'm like 17 years old. This is 2006, and so he calls me up. He's like, Shane, I haven't heard from you in a while. I was like, yeah, because I owe you money. Like, I'm not going to call you up, like, get more things on credit. It's just stupid. He's like, listen. I was like, do you have any work for me? He says, give me 1 second. Let me call you back. So he calls me back. He says, listen, I'm outside your house. Come in the car. So I go in the car, and there's a woman in the front seat. And she's like, Shane. He's like, all right, so I was like, well, you got work for me? He says, yeah, so you're gonna rob a bank. And I was like, what? I'm like, I'm not robbing a bank, dude. Like, turn his car right back around. Like, I'll get a job and like, I'll get you your money. Like, I'm not robbing a fucking bank. Like, that's not happening. So he's like, no, listen. So the girl was actually telling me that she was a bank teller at the time, and they get robbed like on a monthly basis. Like, it was just like a thing. Like, okay, bank got robbed, so what? And I know probably like everybody is thinking right now, like, I'm going in there with like AK-47s and president masks and like, yo, everybody get the fuck on the floor. No, that's not how it went down, like at all. I was like 120 pounds soaking wet, if that. Very skinny little kid going in there, passing them a note saying, this is a robbery. Give me the big bills first. Like, that's how it went down. You pass them a note, you pass them like literally just a piece of paper that says, this is what I said on it. This is a robbery. Give me the big bills first, because they'll start handing you like singles and change rolls. Don't make any sudden movements. Don't call anybody over. And you have to say, definitely say no money wraps, because the minute they put the money in the drawer, they unwrap it. If it's wrapped, that means it's a die pack. And I've gotten a die pack before. It's not fun. It's like, you know those smoke bombs, like you light them up and like they're just, it's like that, but with ink. And I got it one time and like it was in my pocket. I heard, it was like actually ticking, like tick, 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 tick. And I heard it, I was like, no, what that doesn't make, that's weird. As soon as I took it out of my pocket, it just starts going. And I just like threw it on the ground, but there was like somebody in there, so like, yeah, it was a big scene. So I passed the teller note and they give me the money. So eventually I agreed to do it. And I got hooked up with a friend of mine that had already did a bank. So now we're full-fledged bank robbers, as silly as it sounds.
Actually, you were called the serial bank robber.
I was a serial, I was actually called, so News 12 is like, what the city would have New York 1, like their local thing. I was actually dubbed the Pleasant Bandit, which is pretty funny because I guess I was nice.
You said please.
I said please, I said thank you, because I wanted to make it seem to anybody that was like next to me or that nothing else was going on but making a trade. Like I would actually come in there with like open envelopes and like I would take the note out of that just to make it look like if anybody else were to come, like see me, all they would see is, oh wait, he's just like looking at a bank statement or whatever the case may be. I try to make it like as official as possible. So I did 6 banks. After the 6th one, I realized what the fuck I was doing, I guess, and I checked myself into rehab. But 2 weeks after that, the guy that I was doing with him, he turned himself in, and turning himself in, he turned me in. Now I'm locked up, and I had never been arrested. I never even been in I never seen the back of a cop car or nothing. I'd never been arrested, and so I'm on what's called the tiers or cell blocks, and I'm getting beat up a lot because that's how the adolescent tiers are. It's just wild. Like 2, 3, 4 fights a day on average, if that. Like it's wild. Has anybody ever seen or read the book Lord of the Flies? It's like that. It's just madness, chaos. And the cops don't care. They can't control us because we're just these kids that are just, you can't stop those fights because there's so many and there's so many gangs. And so I was just getting beat up so much because I'm so weak. I don't know how to fight. I was like this hippie, like, yeah, man, like, what's up, dude? Like, I'm from Long Island. I was from the suburbs. Like, we don't, like, I didn't do those kind of things. Like, my family we were well off. Like, I was like, I guess you could call like upper middle class. So I never like had to deal with those kind of stuff. Like, even though I was like doing drugs, like I wasn't really like in the streets though. So I was getting really tired of just getting beat up all day long. Cause like, you get picked on, like they just see you and they know you can't fight, they'll try you. And I was fighting, that's not the problem. So eventually I was like, what, something's gotta change. So I asked someone about like, working out, like maybe like there's something I could do, easy to start me off. So I remember I went in my cell and I started doing dips, bench dips, where you just put your hands behind you, kick yourself forward, and you go up and down like that with the arms. And no, matter of fact, no, I tried to do a set of push-ups first. And I remember getting up off the floor after doing like 3, like, like gasping, dying for air. So I was like, all right, let me try something easier. So I tried the dips and I realized I could do it. It's like, oh wow, this is cool. So then I keep doing more and more dips and I'm realizing I'm getting a little stronger. So I tried to do push-ups and I'm like, wow, I can do push-ups now. And then I started asking people like advice on like how to fight and everything like that. So now I'm like actually winning fights. Now my confidence is like through the roof. And like I gained 40 pounds in like 2 months. So like I'm a lot bigger, I'm a lot stronger. I could fight now. Like I just felt really good about myself. But then I'm realizing like all the working out I'm doing, like I feel healthier. Like has anybody ever like how can I put this? Like, going like a real like partying bitch, like when you're like younger, like you're just drinking every single night and like nonstop, and then like.
I believe the kids call it a bender.
A bit, yes, exactly, the kids. So, and then right after that, you're like, you know what? Now something's gotta change, and like you stop drinking, and then you actually start working out and eating healthy. And you're like, wow, yeah, I could do this. Like, this is good. I'm gonna live like this from now on. That's how I felt. I was like, wow, this is great. Like, I can actually like, live a good life. So I'm working.
Just to clarify, that's how you were feeling because that is what was affecting your withdrawals.
Yes.
The fitness.
So So I went through like, the immediate withdrawals, but so that's like the physical portion of it. Then you have the mental withdrawals that you feel better, but if you do the drugs, you get that fresh high, and there's nothing better than that fresh high. You haven't done drugs in a while, you're not withdrawing. It's not like you're doing the drug to, as like the job just to live. You're doing the drug to get high again, and there's nothing better than that. But to get that out of my head, I was working out, and it felt so good. I felt like a normal person. Fast forward, I ended up getting sentenced to a 1 to 3 years. I did 1 year out of that. I made my first parole board, and my family was there like the whole time. They saw my progression, how much how I got my GED while I was there because I dropped out of high school.
And Coss actually mentioned you had really good grades while you were there.
Oh, when I was I had three. So eventually when I did go upstate, we met in the college program. I had a 3.8 GPA, which is pretty good for someone who's a high school dropout. But so now backtrack. So I got locked up for a year, and when I came home, you couldn't tell me anything. If anybody looked at me, I was like, well, you don't know where I've been. You don't know what I just had to go through fighting for fight to eat. Like, it's a strange feeling when you have to fight to actually eat, like literally, like a caveman. Like, it's completely different. So anybody who was telling me, and then plus my dad got me a job because he was one of the big wigs at a nursing home company he was working at, and I play music. So I also my boy got me a job teaching music. So at that time, it wasn't like what Coss had went through where he, it was hard for him to get a job. I had a job right away. Boom. You couldn't tell me anything. I was home for about 1 month. I wasn't really working out, not really doing anything, like just, working, just kind of doing my thing. Probably home for a month. Me and my friend, he has a barn, and in the barn there was like a bathroom, and I went in there because he had cut himself or something, and we went in the the medicine cabinet, and there was a bottle of Percocet just waiting for us. Take me, please, love me. And we saw it, and we're like, oh my God, what is this? Like, let's do this. And we thought it'd be like a good idea to just do some Percocet, and like, yeah, we could control it. Like, we know the consequences, what could happen. Yeah, we were dead wrong. Within I'll probably say within a month after that, I was back robbing banks again, because that's how you sport a habit. And then probably around that time, actually, I was doing cocaine again. So now I'm doing heroin and cocaine like full-fledged. Like, it was like a habit, like way worse than before. And within 3 months of that, I robbed 19 banks. And I thought I was gonna do it like way better and way smarter. Like, I had different wigs and fake beards and I made my skin complexion different colors and tattoos on the face, and like I had a lot of fun with it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was disguising myself with all these like weird different things, and I was getting away with so many of them. But my ego was just so high up there and intense. Like, I would rob a bank, and a normal bank robber you get between 3,000 and 8,000 because you're only hitting the register. Like I said, I'm not going in there with AK-47s hitting up the safe. You got to picture a bank as a store that sells money. So I'm getting what's in the drawer. So I was getting between 3,000 and 8,000. I would take like 3,000 or 5,000, whatever, blow it all in one night. Like, we would get a party bus and just that much, like whatever was left over and like drugs and like food and everything, and then we would just take like a party bus to the city, and I'd wake up in like some random hotel with just like a shirt and one sock on, not knowing how I got there. So it was crazy. It was just madness. Eventually, I got caught, and I got caught fleeing the scene, which is that never happens. It's like to anybody. You never get caught fleeing the scene, but apparently someone was following me outside and saw the car I got into. So now I get locked up. And the last time I got locked up, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Suboxone. Suboxone is like methadone, but it's just a better version of it because you can't actually do opiates when you're on it, whereas methadone you can. So I was in a Suboxone program before I got locked up. So when I got locked up, I went through withdrawals, but not as bad as this time. This time, like the first week of it, I don't even remember because I was so sick, and it was a completely different experience. I eventually get sentenced to 3.5 to 7 years, but I owe parole time from the last time I was locked up because I was only home for 5 months. So I owe like 1.5 years parole. So now it's at 3.5 to 9 years. I get upstate, and like in my mind, I'm like thinking like something's got to change. Like this is like my family doesn't want to talk to me. The only person who's talking to me is my mom. She died in 2009, about 1.5 years into me being upstate. And we knew it was gonna happen because she had cancer, but the cancer just like, that just hit, like it just got sprung on. Like she went to, for an MRI for like, had an x-ray or something like that, and they saw like a small lump in her lung. It was lung cancer. She was a cigarette smoker. They saw like this little thing, and they're like, it's probably nothing, but let's do an MRI just in case. Yeah, it was cancer, it was lung cancer, and it progressed so fast, and within 1 year she died. Like it just happened. And I wasn't there to see her, but like when she came to see me on visits, I just kept seeing her, like every visit, like deteriorating. And when that happened, like that was like that turning point. Like I was like, no, I gotta do, something has to change. Like I have to change my life right now. And I had just completed, it's a bullshit program, but it's called ASAT, Alcohol Substance Abuse Treatment. It's a drug program that they put everybody who's ever even looked at a drug upstate. It's a money thing, but whatever. I just completed that, so I could pretty much do any program I wanted. So right after that, I joined college, which is where I met my buddy right here, Coss Marte. So we meet.
So Shane, real quick, just so we have time for the Q&A, because I'm sure the audience has some questions.
Yes.
Let's talk about your association and how the second stint in prison really geared you up to understanding how fitness is a recovery tool for addicts. Because I think that's a huge point.
Yeah, so after I realized that something had changed, I started like working out a lot more, and I'm actually like I was trying to like break world records for like pull-ups, things like that. I was like really trying my hardest to like be a better person. But now I'm going back to the first time I got locked up. I was realizing that fitness was really what was keeping me sober, and I haven't touched heroin or cocaine since the day I got locked up, February 1st, 2008. So when I came home, I knew I wanted to give back to the community somehow. There was something like, just like how Conbody is geared towards giving back to the community of prisoners and ex-convicts, and we only hire people. What I did was started something called Addicts Athletics, and yeah, that's it, yeah. And what Addicts Athletics does is we bring fitness classes to people recovering from drug addiction. So I go into rehab centers. I sponsor people, much how like AA, Addicts Athletics, or Alcoholics Anonymous. They sponsor people. I sponsor people by giving them free personal training sessions, free nutritional plans, things like that. Because I know fitness is what's ultimately going to keep someone sober. It's purely physiological. When you're doing drugs, that is our neurotransmitters just fire up naturally. It just does. It happens. Your dopamine, your serotonin, things like that. Now, when you do drugs, it's making them fire up a lot more. That's what's getting you high. The minute you take that away, your body doesn't know how to naturally make your neurotransmitters connect. But when you start working out, now they're connecting a lot more, a lot better, to a much greater degree as before. So you'll feel better. You won't feel like you need to do the drugs anymore. So this is what I started, because I really want to give back to the community. And we've held events, like fundraisers, things like that. I'm going to be going into, real soon, we're trying to like finalize everything. This place in the Lower East Side called Sukasa. They're part of the Lower East Side Service Center. And it's a residential center, and I'll be going in there, training the residents there, give them free fitness classes, free yoga, working on breathing techniques, just all around counseling, things like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open it up to the floor. If anyone has any questions, feel free to line up at the mics located on either side of the stage. So anyone have any questions at this point?
I don't need a mic. Great story, great program. I'm an engineer, so I'm going to ask the engineering question. How do you scale it? You're in the Lower East Side. I live in the suburbs.
Okay.
I want to participate in the program. So are you thinking about sort of franchising it or something like that, you know?
So this is generally like we just started this in November of last year. So I'm still trying to figure out like an optimal business plan. But for someone just as an individual that say live on Long Island, I would try to figure out some way that I can maybe come to you, or like let's say this place that I'm working at right now, maybe I can work a deal out with them where you could come in there and I would train there. Or sometimes like I would use Conbody's facility in order to train someone there, and I would pay. So Addicts Athletics pays for everything. We pay for travel. We pay for if you need like something to eat, like afterwards, because you don't really have too much money because you're a recovering addict, things like that. We pay for pretty much everything. So if you needed some sort of transportation, or for me to get out there, whatever the case would be, like we would accommodate it.
But I'm thinking more about the Conbody piece, right? You have a studio, you get people in there,
Yeah.
right? And you're associated with that too, right?
Yes. I'm a trainer. Yeah.
This is really about sort
Oh,
of
so
Yeah, so we came up with a lot of people asked me, like, how am I going to scale this? How am I going to take this to the next level? We're actually opening up 3 more locations this year. In Midtown, we actually landed a deal with Saks Fifth Avenue, where we're going to be opening up their wellness center in May 1st and expanding to Pittsburgh and in the Chelsea area as well. But a lot of people said, just brick and mortar spaces, that's a high overhead, how is this gonna be really, really scalable? So we came up with the idea of doing Conbody Live, which is on-demand workout videos. So you basically, you use your own body weight. We don't use any equipment. You get your little 9x6 prison cell space in your living room, and then you choose your favorite ex-convict through our platform to get that prison body you always desired for $5 a month. So yeah.
streaming, or is it like Peloton when you're all sort of?
It's on demand now. So we launched it about, right now it's almost been 4 months. And we've had over 4,000 users, 4,000 subscribers on our platform now. They're from 22 different countries.
You said it's an app?
Yeah.
We're working on something like that right now.
Yeah.
I could bring it to the gym with me, because I never know
Yeah.
what to do when I'm by myself.
Or you could just go to the browser on Google and put conbody.com. Yeah, I know. we're actually, so we're planning to do a Kickstarter in a couple months. We want to build a better platform and an app behind it. So we're going to be launching that probably in 2 months.
Wanya can help you promote that.
Yeah.
We
Thank
can.
you.
You guys can be our newest client.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Don't be scared. We only did 7 years.
Only in solitary confinement
That's
for a
it.
couple.
Yeah.
I just want to say hi. I know about you guys because I've been working with Back on My Feet. I'm a volunteer. I know Marnie and I know Drescher.
Derek.
That whole thing. And yeah, I mean, what you guys are saying, I mean, I work with people uptown that are transitioning out of incarceration. And yeah, they're people. And to your point, Shane's point. And also about like substituting exercise for addiction. I mean, I woke up from a bender like 30 years ago, started running, and haven't stopped. So, and that gets to my question. That was 30 years ago. I'm in my mid-50s now. Your program looks really intense. Like, is there ever any sense of like, okay, how do you sort of moderate that? Like, okay, burnout, and because to keep doing this over time, have you seen that with your program?
So it's a multi-level workout program. I was telling them, like, my mom is 62 years old and she works out 4 times a week in my studio. So it's made for everybody's level, everybody's sizes. What we basically do is tell people, just try to keep up with the trainer. We push you to the next limit, but if you need to take a break, you take a break and you get back in it. So people really progress themselves. Burning out, what do you mean, burning out from the trainer point of view? Or?
Yeah, long-term burning out, like just fatigue.
I mean, everybody's gonna burn out, and I think people just need to take a break and really understand, like, we work out, we do work out 7 days a week, but I personally, you know, take a break and do like, take a 2-day break before, and work out 5 days a week, you know, so just letting your body recuperate. And we are working out, so in the studio, we basically work out different parts of the body every day of the week. So we have like Manic Monday, which is a cardio day, Tough Love Tuesdays, isometric, Lockdown Wednesdays, which is lower body workouts, and Hardcore Thursdays, where we do a lot of abs and core workouts, and Full Body Friday, Upper Body Saturday. So we change them every day of the week, so one part of the body will, you know, feel better and recuperate while you're working out the other part.
And also, on just piggyback off that, so we have Conbody, and we have a Conbody like theme workout, but also each trainer kind of brings their own style to it. So which you won't get, you know, from Coss, you'll get from me, which you won't get from me, you'll get from Sultan, which you'll get from Sultan, you get from Ray, and like every trainer will definitely, you'll get some type of different style from. Yeah. And that's, you know, that's good. A lot of gyms don't have that. A lot of studios don't have that, which we do, which is really, really good.
Yep.
So I haven't yet been to your website because this is my first time learning about Conbody and IX Athletics. But do you have formerly incarcerated individuals come to work out with you guys often? Do they get special pricing, or do you see that most of your attendees are not, or what does that look like?
So our customer base is mostly females, 80% young professionals just like you. So take out your phone right now. No, I'm just kidding. But
I actually think that's a funny point, because something you did with your business when you were selling drugs is you kind of located your target market, and that's how you scaled. And with Conbody, you had mentioned in a talk you did, you came out and you saw all of these women in New York wearing yoga pants. Yep. And that's how you also located your target market, which is a lot of what we in the Google Media department, you know, really focus on. Yeah. So I think that is kind of a funny focal point of your business, and how you guys kind of changed the game doing that. Yeah.
But for people, formerly incarcerated people coming to work out, we do give them a discount. So we started this like scholarship program idea, where we've had people like lose a lot of weight from it. Where we find a sponsor, because I started getting people around my neighborhood that couldn't really afford it, and they'll go to Planet Fitness for, you know, $20, $30 a month.
It's nothing.
Which they don't utilize for the rest of the year. But what we started doing, I said, give me your $30, and I'll find a sponsor who's going to pay $100. So right now our sponsorship is, I mean, our unlimited classes is $125 a month. So we'll have somebody just like cover the rest of the costs, and we'll send monthly updates on that person's like progression, if they're losing weight, if they're, you know, gaining more muscle. So it's affordable, and it's accessible to anyone. But to get that scholarship, we have a like application on our website, and then we screen the person, because a lot of people like hit us up and they're trying to save $1, and I'm like, man, you live on the Upper West Side, you could afford some of this shit. Yeah.
So I'm a ClassPass user, obviously, and so I'm always interested in the ClassPass gyms that I go to, how you work with ClassPass and other, say, Groupon or services that are providing deals. 125 sounds like that's what ClassPass also used to have as their unlimited option. So how do you balance pleasing the users who might not be total full-time members of the gym, but also want to be part of it in some capacity? And how does that work out, like, as a ClassPass user, a beneficial user for you, or is it just a way to acquire a customer and then convert them into?
Both. So ClassPass is a great platform just to get the word out there and bring these people that have never heard about us, and bring them down to the Lower East Side, because a lot of people don't come down there to work out. Most of them stay in the Flatiron, Chelsea area. But we've had probably 100 people come through ClassPass and convert as monthly members, which is a good conversion rate, and especially for ClassPass told us is one of like the biggest conversion rates. And it feels also financially, if you want to fill up a spot that's missing from your personal studio, and there's a ClassPass member coming in, you know, it's an extra $1 in the seat. So why not fill that space with any type of money, currency coming in. They don't give us a big revenue cut behind each user, but it's new people and even the people that come through ClassPass, they have a great relationship, and some of them are still using us through ClassPass and come on their own time and help us out, and work in side projects with like Addicts Athletics and help them on the side. Like it's just a win-win situation what we build. Yeah.
How's I'm in Belmore, and I don't know what houses in Long Island have AK-47s and jewelry, but how is the neighborhood at the Lower East Side now compared to when you were there? Like, do you think being there now kind of wards off maybe anyone that is dealing to kids now, and they see a positive change in you? Do you find? I don't know how it was then.
Yeah, now it's like completely gentrified. It's probably one of the hippest neighborhood. You should go out. It's the best neighborhood in the city.
Long Island.
No, but before it was a crazy neighborhood. Like growing up, every probably 10 steps that I took, I seen a heroin needle. In the building that I grew up in, there used to be like drug lines going up the building and buckets coming down from the roof, and like it was just a crazy, crazy switch from what it is right now. Right now you have like a coffee shop and hipsters all over the place. But going back to that neighborhood, I've been approached by guys who still are on the streets and stuff like that when I first came home, and they were like trying to get me back into that world, and I told them I don't even know where to find a cigarette. Like I was just completely convinced that I was not going back to that lifestyle. And yeah, a lot of people looked at me crazy when I came home, and from making like all this money in the street and then working out in the park, and people were like, yo, what the hell is this guy doing? And I was like, I'm building a movement, do you want to join? And they're like, hell no. And now when they see the gym on the block, they're like, damn, you did it. Like, it's crazy, so it just gives people hope, inspires people, and makes people believers that if you have an idea, it could be a reality.
So I'm actually from Central Islip, so that makes a lot of sense of me as far as like trying to and my drug dealer lived in Amityville, but on the Wyandanch border. So say Wyandanch. Yeah, Wyandanch you do. It's pretty crazy out there.
So at this point, we've taught people how to deal drugs, rob banks, and where to find all your local drug dealers.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming. I love your story, and I hope that we as a community can continue sharing it with everybody, because it's just a great way to make people believe that you can.
Mention one more thing.
Of course.
As a hustler, I want everybody to take out their phones right now. Come on, you got a phone? You work at Google, you can afford this shit. Let's go, take out your phone. I just want you to click on that app called Instagram and just follow me, Conbody, Conbody. Maybe we'll see us enough on your stream that you'll be inspired one day to come by. There you go, you know how to spell.
And follow. And follow Addicts Athletics
I got
too.
you. I know. I'll pay for your Uber. I got Uber pool. Yeah. No.
I thought you were actually going to make everyone get up and start doing the workout.
Oh, that's next.
No, they've had a long walk from the cafeteria here, so.
It's a big building.
I'll give them a break. Yeah.
This is a big building.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. This was great, and thank you guys for coming.
Thank you, guys.